number 3, if you don't mind.
Okay. Down?
I'm good right now. I don't know how it's gonna sound when y'all start talking, but my voice sounds good too.
1, 2, 1, 2. It's
all
all the
Yeah,
same.
that's good. Yeah,
That's
that's
all
good.
right.
That works. That's good.
And
I'm good. I'm good.
what up, y'all? We back.
Yeah.
I didn't know you were gonna do that though.
Yeah, exactly.
What's up, y'all? We back in the building. It's your boy Pt.2 here. I don't know, roll out show. Once again, for the, we got callers, we got listeners that actually listen to the second half. So let's just go to the panel, see who's here again. Am I right?
Mark Howard representing here.
Yo.
Boy, T-Mac 2 times. What's going on?
Robin Goins up in the building.
From the Sizzle C podcast show, it's Sizzle C.
All right, promoting this show. I like that.
Shameless plug.
So we were talking about a lot of crazy shit. The first half. For y'all that don't know, if you see me again, what's up, y'all? It's your boy Pt.2. Got my man Nick in the back doing his thing. Speedy's still out there. Speedy,
still getting
shout
paid.
out to Netflix. He's still getting them checks.
Somebody's working.
Yeah. Robin, you always working. Robin, tell us a couple of the things you got going on. You got a lot going on.
I have a lot going on. So I repair credit and getting people's credit straight.
Impossible.
I'm doing some stuff. Why? Just because your credit is right, maybe you need to see it.
Right.
Is any of black?
Don't let me get my Equifax out right now.
Yeah, I don't want to embarrass you.
Niggas is looking back. I bet they ain't black. You was fixing them white crack.
No, I'm working what I do first, because we need the most help.
I got Robin. I got good credit.
You got good credit?
What's your credit, Robin?
Why you gonna know my credit? My credit is great. I'm helping people,
Yeah,
so my
she got
credit
it.
must be good. Yeah.
No, they could be like, "Oh, I'll help you out." You'd be like, "What's your credit?"
Oh, like
that's
old boy,
another story.
Like old boy from Victorville. I ain't gonna put him out there like that.
Wow.
Put him out.
You don't have to
Your
say his
brother.
name, but you
Yeah,
can say his
he
with
was
a
trying to-
raggedy ass Mercedes, trying to
With the truck. You know what I'm talking about? Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And he talking about he had an 820. I was like, what? You have a what?
No, he said, when I said it's 8:20, I gotta go to bed. No, but what else you got going on, Robin?
I have a couple of things in development, and I'm working on my pre-sale of my book. My pre-orders are out, and I'm finishing that up. So my book will be released in the next 2 to 3 months. I'm gonna have to update that too.
What's the name of the book?
The name of the book is The Invisible Life: My Struggle Behind the Hollywood Spotlight.
Wow. That sounds to be deep.
So it's gonna be in
Long
2 to
time.
3 months?
What was that?
You said 2 to 3 months when it comes up?
Yeah, I'll have to update and then I'll send it over to my writing partner and he'll look it over, send it back to me, and then I'm gonna do a professional edit, the whole thing to make sure it comes together the way it needs to, and then I'm gonna send it to the printers and edit.
So
So
somebody.
basically, you ain't getting into June next year.
No. I'm striving for the first of the year. I want it to be October, but we're up on October right now, so I'm looking to be the first of the year for my book to be released.
Cool. I got my order in.
That's gonna be good.
Yeah.
That title right there is already gonna be good.
Oh,
It's
okay.
a very long title.
Don't let it
Very,
go
very
on
long.
here, 'cause
I went
it's-
to
what?
I went to sleep after Hollywood. I was-
She sent me a pre-order. I'm like, hey, I'm sending this to my ex-wives and they'll buy this shit.
Yeah, she can be on my team. I'm sure y'all-
And I know, girl, this nigga ain't shit neither.
I get my approval together, get my posse together, send them my way. We'll talk.
That's what's up.
You know that's right.
So listen, we want to talk about a couple topics. So we'll get a little. We want to get into it. Hot topics. Breonna Taylor. Anybody want to chime in on that? Obviously, we know the other day Breonna Taylor. The 3 individuals that were looking to be charged for death. None of them was actually charged in that. One of them that was charged, he actually quit already, so he's no longer working for the police.
He was fired.
No, fired, let go. Thank you, appreciate you. It's always good to have you on the panel.
That was awful.
He was fired.
The difference between
But
quitting
it is-
and
it is a
motherfuckers
difference.
No, there is a difference.
Cause that doesn't make everybody mad. Like, wait, he just quit? You gotta say fired. At least give us something. We ain't getting nothing out
I
of
think
those.
He was encouraged
I
to
think he
resign.
resigned.
He was encouraged to resign.
Yeah.
He was encouraged to resign, no doubt. They actually got him for
No
some
doubt.
bullshit. They got him for it's called wanton or something.
Wanton endangerment.
Endangerment, which
Reckless.
basically means he was reckless with a gun, shooting all over the place. They didn't even charge him for shooting up Breonna's house. They charged him for the neighbor's house. So a lot of people are not happy about that. So Robert, I'm gonna let you go since you're the sister here on the panel.
Ladies first.
Definitely.
Come on.
No. So what do you think about it? I mean, just like when you found out, like, what do you think about it?
I thought it was really sad because they weren't charged. And so when that happened, everybody went back to protesting and stuff again. But something really needs to change. You know, we need to really do something about that because they all should have been convicted. They all should be doing time. And so for one to get fired, the other two are off on a leave. I just think that's wrong. You know, we all feeling some type of way because that could have been any one of our children. And you know, we just need to make changes and things need to happen. It needs to be going down a whole different way because it's like you can get away with killing people and nothing happens, and that's not good. That's not good.
Just so people can be filled in on the case, the actual, I'm gonna tell you how they broke it down. This is why this shit took so long. They were trying to sweep, they were trying to do a lot of felonious shit. But the actual AG on this one, what they did was, not only did they not charge them in the Brianna case, when that, they didn't even bring up Brianna's name. So what that means is, when this goes to court, for him to be tried for the wanton law, whatever the bullshit is, wanton endangerment. Once that goes to court, they can't even tell the jury anything. They can't even bring up Brianna's name because that has nothing to do.
She's not part of it.
She's not a part of the initial. So I mean, that's some scheme bullshit. But it all started from a no-knock warrant. So let's talk about the no-knock warrant. Mm-hmm. Once we found out, now remember, since it didn't go to trial, the people can actually present. The defense team can present with anything they want to present because there's no one that can actually jump into it and say, hey, well, what about this? What about that? They can just go ahead and present it. So what actually happened is the no-knock warrant, we found out that the actual no-knock warrant was actually invalid. Because the reason why they say they got the no-knock warrant is because the postmaster for Kentucky actually said that he never authorized them because they're saying that he told them, hey, there's a lot of drug packages going to this house. He came out and said, I never authorized that, and I'm the only person that can authorize that. So for them having to say, hey, we have evidence that says that we can get this no-knock warrant was actually false. So this whole pretense of their whole story, the reason why they got the no-knock warrant, is really invalid. But we couldn't even bring that up because it didn't go to trial and it wasn't even presented to the court.
Wow.
Yeah, it was quite fucked up. This piece of shit, Cameron, who's the Attorney General, he never brought it up. So now they're like the family's trying to get them to release the transcripts because they're trying to say they didn't indict for it. You know, nigga, you didn't bring that shit up for indictment.
Yeah, he in there trying to get to the next level of his career.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, exactly. He's a close friend. He's the protege of Mitch McConnell, who don't like black folks.
Don't like black folks.
And so, he do like black folks. He like that type of nigga.
Right.
You know, and then supposedly he's supposed to be the heir apparent for his seat when the time comes.
Yeah, he's like 35 years old.
Right. It'll be somebody just as white anyway, but you know they can justify it. Mm-hmm. But the fact of the matter is that it's an insult. They insult our intelligence, and one of the biggest things that always piss me off, people insult my intelligence.
Right.
So you're telling me that, like I'm reading somebody says that, well, it's not our job to, and I'm paraphrasing, but he's basically saying it's not our job to legislate whether it was a tragedy that she was killed. And nobody asked you to do that shit.
Right.
Nobody's asked you to weigh in that it's a tragedy. We know it's a fucking tragedy.
Yeah, without even saying.
Right. We're talking about the criminal aspect. Anybody that died, I had a friend of mine that died in a goddamn accident. That's a tragedy.
Right.
But we're talking about a criminal element here, and you don't want first off, they weren't going to do shit.
Oh yeah, 6 months.
They weren't going to do a damn thing. This happened before George Floyd was killed. So once everything became news,
then
they brought it out and they put her name out there and they had to do something. He was getting. They were protesting in front of his house. And they had 70, 80 officers protecting his house from the protesters.
His house was whack, by the way. Attorney General. Oh God, I was really surprised. I'm like,
Is that true?
Is that your mobile home? Homie, that shit was whack. I was like, I think they're at the wrong house.
He's like, but I'm on permanent foundation.
You can check that out.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, it's just like you're
A screen door for an attorney.
I know, right?
there's some big bugs in Kentucky. You get a screen door with God. But
Nigga, is this?
he opened the door for air, huh?
You say what?
That was his Airbnb for the night.
Basically, like that shit. But nah, I mean, it's just you don't want to. you weren't going to do anything until it got brought out. Now you're forced to do something. And at the end of the day, really, if you're looking at an attorney general, you're looking at a district attorney, you're looking at the police. They work together.
All hand in hand. They know
Right.
each other.
Yeah.
They go out to dinner. They know each other's kids.
And as it should be. So if,
But they shouldn't be. They shouldn't be investigating themselves.
What happens is that if you're the police and I'm the DA, right? For example. Okay, let's say I'm the police, you're the DA. All right, let's make you feel good about yourself.
You're the police.
He was like, you're a security guard, and I'm the president.
so that we can stick to the point.
So you're a stepchild, and I'm
He say you the coach, he the GM.
You're the water
Always
boy.
appease an insecure nigga. You understand what I'm
You're the
saying?
water boy, and I own the team. And,
So the fact is, though, is that if I'm police, I don't want you to turn against me. I don't want you to prosecute me. Because if you prosecute me, then that means because you need me for witness. You need me for all these kind of things. And then at that point, if I decide, well, I'm not going to help the prosecution out.
right.
Because you
It's
don't
that good old
arrest our
boy
people. We
system.
doing what we want to do to bring criminals. Your job is just to do that, not just to prosecute them. So that's why, and it's a favor for a favor. It's a look.
yeah.
It's
We
a
have-
look the other way for a look the other way.
And you're right. And the crazy thing about it, they're trying to insult our intelligence. We already know this bullshit.
Right,
Yeah.
right. But they think we don't pay attention to it. So if you want to say it was justified, because it was said, the shooting was justified. So why is he even being indicted for wanton endangerment?
Yeah, it was
If
justified.
it's justified, everything that happens wrong. Why are you selling for? Why are you giving them motherfuckers $12 million
It was justified.
if you didn't do anything wrong?
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
You don't give out millions for doing nothing wrong.
But you know why they do it? Because it ain't their money. They don't give a fuck.
Right,
But even then, why would you allocate it to this situation?
Because that's how heinous they are. They like, look, it looks sloppy, it looks like shit, and we don't give a fuck because there's nothing you can
But
do.
did you remember they tried to charge the boyfriend for shooting back?
Yeah,
If you
so
recall.
They tried to get him to talk to say there was some shit going on. They tried to get him to turn on her.
That was the ex-boyfriend. That's in
No.
jail, right?
No, they tried
No,
to get
the
the
one that
turn
was
on
shot.
the shoot.
Because
The
he's the
shooting,
one
they
that
was
shot.
like, we're gonna let you off for the shooting.
Oh, okay, got you.
If you go ahead and
If you
turn,
say
if
that
you
she
turn-
did,
yeah, same
okay.
person, so we'll look like we did a good job with somebody who was in on the shit.
Yeah,
Wowzers.
that's how they do it, dog.
And they're lying trying to put out, I got some fool up on fucking Twitter when I said something about it, or on Facebook talking about she got caught up, she was, middle of the dress. Well, fuck, you don't even know what the fuck you're talking about.
Right.
They're looking for an
Her
ex-boyfriend.
Right.
That was already incarcerated.
And we have to keep that as a point because
That
how in the
makes
world
sense, yeah.
are you looking for somebody in jail? Like, what is your record? What is going on with y'all system, your
Exactly.
computer system? Like,
And someone died. Like that's what we're.
Right.
This is what we're saying. Someone died over some reckless shit.
Right.
So there is accountability. This is the crazy thing. If I make a mistake and kill somebody, I'm gonna have to serve time.
Right.
That's just how it goes. I don't feel like the police could just make those type of mistakes.
well, it depends. Because remember, Brandy killed somebody. She didn't serve no time,
Well, she got money,
That was a car accident.
and it was a car accident.
but she still was reckless because she was on the phone, killing her. So that's considered murder. You wasn't paying attention. Neglect. It was neglect.
You know what I'm saying? I believe she was charged.
Yeah, but I mean, it
Well, she
wasn't.
did get charged.
She got charged for it, but I'm saying it's not a heinous word. Well, it's a bad. I mean, it's all a death. It's a death. But what I'm saying is, you didn't go on. She didn't go driving with false pretense and knew that some bullshit, looking for somebody to rear end to kill.
But she was on the phone texting Ray J about the new Raycons that was gonna come out, and instead of her texting,
Right. Nigga telling shit from 1965. See, Martin Luther King was at the top of the
you remember Jesse Jackson?
You
know Jesse got a blowout.
You gotta turn her killing somebody into a funny moment.
Right.
See how they do T-Mac.
Now, see, Emmett Till was a good boy.
You know,
He went way back.
Oh, you went way.
In 1865.
But
yeah, the whole thing is like it's fucked up from the word go. Now you're trying to cover your tracks.
yeah.
You in danger for shooting some other people in the apartment. What about the one that you shot in the apartment that actually got hit?
person, yeah.
And she didn't have anything to do with this shit.
Right, right.
Even though she had a
She's
boyfriend, like this is what they're telling y'all right now. This lady named Joy Reid. She's on MSNBC. She's
Yeah.
got her own show called The Readout. She's phenomenal.
Yeah.
She said basically what they just set up for, and y'all better understand this shit, is that not only if you were involved with a drug dealer, but you can actually be involved with a drug dealer, leave him, he doesn't even live in your house no more, so you're still a suspect. They can kill you and get away with that shit.
Right. Right.
So
Exactly.
that's the setup, fam. Like we can, they literally are saying that they what they did was not wrong because there was some drugs involved.
Right. There was some black folks. So,
And there was some
you know,
black folks, and you already know they disenfranchised. But the thing was with Breonna Taylor was Breonna Taylor never had like a lawyer and all that. The shit, excuse me, let me tell it back. They figured that this is a family, they ain't got no money. Once this shit started getting waves, and then the dude got out, that's when the shit started, you know, like you said, George Floyd, it was like, well, what about this case? And they brought attention to it. So now they got the real lawyer, I think it was Crump. I'm on kind of question a little bit about that dude, to be perfectly honest with you. Like,
I think everybody's questioning.
I don't really like how he handled this case. I mean, listen, you cannot have a case where you're the lawyer on it, and everybody and their mama is jumping on the hashtag Breonna Taylor. And I'm talking about everybody, not just black folks.
Everyone.
The world was like Breonna Taylor, Breonna Taylor. And you mean to tell me this is the bullshit we get out of this? Like,
Right.
I don't know what avenue this lawyer took, but bro, you had the most. When people say shit, that's when support pops.
Right.
When people start saying this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong, the pressure was on. That's why it took so long. But I kind of want to know how he worked this out. Like, no disrespect, I just want to know.
It's
how he
interesting
worked
because
this
they're
out.
delaying. People are pushing back the process of it, and you know, like if you look at it for, like I haven't even heard what's happening with the Martin Arbery's case.
Exactly. That kind of is like.
That shit was even sooner than Breonna Taylor.
No, I think that was like after.
No, he was shot
There's
in
so many
like
of them.
February.
You talking about the brother that got shot in
yeah.
Georgia?
In
Yeah.
Georgia,
Yeah.
that was running.
Oh, the jogger. See, that's sad that we're getting confused as that many
Man.
deaths. That we're mixing them up. Are you talking about the one that got shot in the chin? Or you talking about the one that got shot in the
Oh, that's what they got the head neck.
But
Yeah.
but they weren't. No, the DA and all of them, they knew the people that shot him because the guy used to work in the DA. He's an investigator.
He's an investigator.
So now everybody's removing themselves because there's a personal conflict, which I understand, but then nobody else wanted to step up to pursue and come up with a charge. If it wasn't for the video that came out,
Bro,
The camera.
if it wasn't,
it
they
would-
literally,
and he was stupid. Lucky for
literally
that
told
dumbass
him-
camera.
Yeah.
they literally told him that, hey man, you are, you know, you should be a cop. You can, what are you talking about? Pursue him like you need to. They like gave him the green light. And Ahmaud Arbery, what people don't know, he was fleeing for the tape we saw. That's just the last bit of jogging. He was running for those people for almost 4 minutes.
Right.
They had the whole breakdown of where he was. Like, it was phenomenal. He was running for 4 minutes. He just said, you know what, F it. The dude was right in his face. He was like, you know what, it's about to go down. You got a gun. And, man, it was an assault on him, actually. They have phone calls of people like, hey, he's running down this street. Hey, they're coming down this street. Like, it was a whole community.
A whole plot.
It was a plot.
Went through that whole shit. So
Yeah.
they felt safe, but nobody has. Did they ever charge these guys? I think they.
No,
they
if they're in jail, they're in jail and then they get no bail.
They got charged. Okay, so they got charged, but I'm saying, so where's the court date? I mean, because everybody.
What about George Floyd?
Everybody has a right to a speedy trial. So now, all of them are delaying the shit.
That's that bullshit. Because
Right.
we start forgetting things.
Yeah.
What about George Floyd? This shit was.
Chauvin and all the other police officers. I mean, they're moving slow as hell on that.
What about the brother that got shot in his
7
house?
In the back.
He was eating ice cream in the chair, and the white lady that killed him with
Yeah,
him.
she's
Oh
in jail.
yeah. Oh, she's in jail.
I know, but this is what got me. When you go back to that court and you look at how everything happened, it blew me away.
When they were hugging her and shit?
Yeah, from the judge giving her a hug, giving her Bible. You got the bailiff coming over fixing her hair. You got the brother of the victim. He's coming to hug her.
Yeah, that's it.
And it's like, you watching her from the outside, you would think that she's the victim. Like something happened to her the way you wouldn't have thought she
Black
did
folks are
nothing.
just too forgiving sometimes.
No, we are. My dad always said
Naturally.
black folks are the most forgiving, racist people in the world.
Because
But
that's what they try to teach us.
I will correct on one thing here. I'll say this much. The judge had a fucked up look on that. If you want to forgive her, you want to do that's on you.
Right.
But that shit out in front of everybody, that was a bad.
Because they don't do it
That
for
was a bad
no.
look.
I've never seen that in court. I used to work in court, so I've
That
never
was
seen
totally,
that.
totally,
Oh, wow.
out, totally out
For
of
the
pocket.
plaintiff over
Yeah.
here. Yeah, here's the plaintiff.
Dum,
Dum, dum, dum, sizzle,
You gotta watch the
snake.
you gotta watch the TV shows, Law and Order. I know all the time. But
Dum, dum, dum.
the brother, he said, he said he forgave her. Now he was the only one out the family. That's what people don't realize. He was the only one out the family that said that.
Right. Okay.
Everybody else was that. But the other thing I was saying, depending on whether you believe or not, one way or the other, but they were saying that they had a break and she came back in, and they had to kind of go through her hair to see if she has anything in that. So they were checking her.
But
Nigga, what side are you on?
But when did it?
I'm just
No,
wondering. I'm saying if
no, he
you
got
believe
facts. But
that
my
shit.
question is,
No, you don't get
when did it ever have that ever happened? They usually check you before you come in court. Why would I check you in the court? Like,
Yeah, when she came back and sat down, then the bailiff had checked her hair, I guess.
but what I'm saying is,
So supposedly that's what she was.
what I'm saying is, anytime you come into court, they check you before you come in. I've never seen nobody.
Sound like you got warrants.
No, because remember I used to work at the group home and I stayed in the courts. I had to get these kids on a regular. I stayed in court. That's why it blew me away. I've never seen none of that action. So I was like, what is really going on here? Me being in courts for 15 years dealing with court systems. So I know. I'm like, I've never, in the 15 years of me working with the youth and working in this field of
The resume.
it blows me away to see that. And I'm like, wow, how in the world with this type of situation are we allowing this to happen? And then this is the problem with black folks. We always allow ourselves to be looked at as the fool. Like, why did you even do that? Your common sense would have told you not to do that as a judge. Like, why would you even put yourself in that position? You never did that for none of your black kids or none of your black people that came in or any other race people. All of a sudden now, if you show me that she's like that to all of the people that get, and she's giving Bibles to everybody, that's her way of doing things, I wouldn't have nothing to say about that judge. But that's not your way. You're just taking this opportunity for the celebrity moment, and I'm looking at it as everybody has somebody in their ear telling them, do this and let's get you some exposure. That's what it seemed like to me. And it's like all of a sudden she does that, now she's getting more exposure for fixing her hair, or for giving her a Bible rather.
Then the murder. What's really going
Exactly.
on?
That's what I'm saying.
I agree. I mean, I mostly I've gotten in trouble before, and I've been in the courtroom, and nobody's ever.
It just
brushed my hair.
blew me away. And then how they can find excuses and reasons for it. That's the thing. Like, we can't find no excuse or reason when it comes to us. Like, they tell you there's no excuse for breaking the law. I had kids that had real legitimate excuses for doing something wrong. Like, it made sense. And they'll still say ignorance is no excuse for breaking the law.
Right. No, I mean,
Especially in this office.
it's a thing, especially with her. Is like the shit hit the fan now. So now you want forgiveness, and I say that for anybody. We all motherfuckers always find God in jail.
Right.
Or
Quit.
Allah.
You know what I'm saying? If Allah, and it's
Quit.
like,
Quit.
no, well, Allah is God. I won't say that, but
No, I'm just.
I'm a Muslim, so Allah is God.
Oh, okay.
But it's Arabic for the God. It really is.
I like you got educated. I
Like
like
you was eating a pork sandwich yesterday.
I like
No, I
this
don't
guy.
eat pork.
He was in the
No, you
bar.
did not.
He was in the bar with a white girl the other day.
Hilarious.
They're white Muslims. That's
Facts.
I'm not the nation of Islam.
Aren't you trying
I'm
to
a
take her to
Muslim.
crustaceans?
But that's against
Next
Allah.
time
I
I
said
see
not
you,
do
take a picture and post
crustacean is the sign of the devil, Bobby Boucher. No, but I mean, it's like you finding God now. You feeling sorry, but I'm not buying your bullshit. How the fuck do you go? Look, I've lived in apartment buildings.
Your whole life. Go ahead.
My whole life, I've lived in an apartment building. And I understand I've gotten off on the wrong floor before.
Uh-oh.
You get off the wrong floor in a building.
Yeah, a couple of drinks.
And their buildings are set the same. All right, 3rd floor, 4th, 10th floor is all designed the fucking same.
You went from apartments to
No,
projects.
but I'm
real
saying,
quick.
what I'm saying to you is that you go there. I've lived on the 18th floor. I've gotten off on the 17th floor. I get halfway down the hall. It looks the same, but for a minute, I'm like, this ain't my fucking floor.
Right.
You can feel it. It's something different.
Right.
Something on the carpet. You know the fucking stain on the carpet. Whatever the
Right.
walls, all that shit.
Right.
Once you walk by a fucking door and you see 17A and it's not 18A, oh no, this shit is not right.
Right.
You go through it. Now you can't get in the motherfucking door. You don't have your key.
Right.
And there's a motherfucker in there eating ice cream, comfortable as fuck. And the only thing you do is you think you shot him. And then after the fact, you still try to cover the shit.
And she was actually intoxicated, wasn't
Right. No, she came off.
didn't know that it wasn't there. Man. I'm telling you, but you're professional. It's a difference. You get paid for it.
Prolific, and he goes after it.
You get paid for it.
I've never would break up a relationship because I'm so in love with mine.
Good.
No.
What's
See,
his
Mac,
name?
what's his name? I don't know. You with him, dude. He's a relationship thief. He will take a man in a minute.
Wow.
Hilarious.
I took your man in relationship what?
That's why Robin don't like you. Robin is like, he done took two of my men and it don't make no sense. Impossible, yeah.
Impossible.
So shout out to all the Breonna Taylor, man. We love you. I mean, obviously, rest in peace. Rest in heaven.
She came.
Shout out to her family who's dealing with this ordeal.
But you know what? Me and Sis, we even said this. Well, I knew it was gonna be some fuckery as soon as she took that 12 million.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as they offered her 12 mil, I was like, I'm prepared for the bullshit.
It's coming.
Right.
I mean, you gotta
The
take the money.
bullshit was coming regardless.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and they try to give you that 12 million so they can come out and say, all right, you guys, no rioting, and if you do, not in the new mansion, by the way. But when I saw them get that money, I said, I'm already prepared for the fuckery. But the Amada Brooks, I think the George, if these guys ain't convicted of George Floyd, they might burn up the whole America might get burned down to the ground. I don't know.
Well,
You know what's funny is I would have said,
That about Brown?
ain't no fucking way they don't get, chosen for this shit. The first time I said that was the Rodney King thing. I said, ain't no way them motherfuckers ain't going to jail.
right.
And I watched court TV for the first time, watching that trial.
Mm.
And when I was listening to the excuses they was making, literally they said when he was laying prone, face down, the minute he turned his foot and his toe, you know how you can lie down your shit. The minute he put his foot there, he was in an aggressive spectrum. I'll never forget that fucking term. He was in an aggressive spectrum, so that's why they.
Because his foot was turned like that?
Yeah, because you lying down, your toes are down. How the fuck your feet are supposed to be spread out like your ankles supposed to be touching the ground. That ain't even natural. Anybody that's laying down, we lie down, especially on the ground, our toes are gonna be down. That's just ain't nobody putting their feet spread out, the right foot out this way like that.
Told you.
Especially when you fucking halfway dead from being beat down, like you don't know what's going on. But I don't think they're gonna make that mistake. Now, what they did there,
They made a mistake with this one.
no, I'm just saying what they did with. Well, first of all, the reason why because there's no tape on Breonna Taylor, so she's dead, and that's what we know. We know the bullets rang out, but we don't know what happened.
Sorry, check that. There is tape.
For Breonna Taylor?
Them motherfuckers had their body cams in there.
No, they turned them off. They were off.
Civilians.
That's
They were
all
civilians.
three
They're
of
in
them.
civilian clothes.
On the Breonna Taylor, all of them had their cameras off and they were in civilian clothes.
So we
Because
have
remember,
no-
I thought they said, because they tried to say that they didn't have the body cam.
No, they
probably did. They just turned
no,
them
they had them
all the
off.
time.
Bottom line is they had them off. There's no footage. Bottom line, there's no
Yeah,
footage
the bottom line is no
that they
footage.
have.
I thought I heard there wasn't.
No, there's no footage. There's no because that's why I'm like that was already part of the problem with itself. You guys are doing a raid with no body cameras. Like the raid is going to be the thing to show you everything you found while you're going through.
No, that's standard. Do you know they
Like,
have
you're
no
supposed
in the legislation to get rid of
The
no
what?
warrant?
In the what? In the
So
legend?
he said registration.
Oh.
But I'm sure he meant legislation.
He said
No, I said legislation.
Oh, okay. I missed.
In other words, to get rid of the no-knock warrant, the reason why they want to get rid of it because there's no documentation on no-knock warrants of what happened. Remember when they got that bullshit paperwork that they filled out, they didn't even say when Breonna Taylor they was like, does anybody have any like harm or something? They put no, and she was dead. You don't even have to fill out no papers on no no-knock warrants. You can do whatever the fuck you want to do. That's why there's no body cam. You can go up there. Kids be dying for this shit. They don't do this shit in the rich neighborhoods. They don't do this shit in the Asian neighborhoods. They don't do that shit. If you go into let 7 cops go into a white rich neighborhood and kick the door with a no-knock warrant and kill a white person. Are you fucking kidding me?
It has happened.
Because they got the name. They got the.
It has happened. That officer was in jail. It was a black
Yeah,
officer.
you're right.
White one.
You're
Okay.
Yeah. Well, it's not gonna happen. He's
Call
gonna do
him
it and
maybe.
get away. He's not gonna do it and
Yeah,
get
that's
away.
what I'm saying.
the
He's not gonna
thing.
get away.
Because this has happened, but every time it does happen, they get prosecuted and put in regular people jail. They only put it with special jail. You going in county and going up there to regular, what here now in LA? What, y'all got the Twin Towers? What prisons out here? I don't know.
I don't
Oh,
know.
no, the prisons
I don't
is
know.
like-
I've never broken any laws.
You are a lawbreaker.
Twin Towers.
Let's keep clean.
All right, so,
So I've been in the Twin Towers.
yes, you have.
Traffic violation.
He got his boyfriend. So listen, y'all, we're gonna take a quick break, and then we're gonna come back, and then we're gonna do the Rock and Robin segment. We're gonna talk about relationships. So if you got a girl, a man, bring them in on this one right now. We're gonna put y'all up on game. Robin, you gonna have him when we come back?
He's speaking French. Robin gonna put us up on
She gonna put us up on
I
game.
gotta go run that Uber run you get ready to do on this break.
You know, Robin has been in the game for a long time.
What game? What game you been in? The game of life.
The game of life, absolutely. Yeah.
Robin knows what's happening. If you
Robin
don't know,
said her
Robin,
baby
when
gone.
you buy her book, I'm telling you, it's a lot of good information in there, ladies. So y'all need to get
For
that
sure.
book, fellas. If you need to get it too.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
she'll tell you what not to do.
Ooh. Right, exactly. So stay tuned, we're gonna get that segment going when we get back.
All right, yeah, Rock and Robin. When we get back, we're gonna go ahead and take a quick break, y'all. So, T-Mac, you chilling?
Yeah, cool.
You still with us?
You still with us? Sizzle C, you still with us?
It's T-Mac twice.
T-Mac twice.
Marky, you with us?
Is T-Mac twice easier to say than just say T-Mac, T-Mac?
T-Mac 2 times.
It's
T-Mac
T-Mac.
two
T-Mac
times.
2 times. I'm sorry. I said
Two
twice.
times.
You guys said 2 times. T-Mac twice.
I'm a suburban nigga.
T-Mac